Hello Guardians, my name is Fatebringer and today I'll be going over my top 10 must-have legendary weapons going into Beyond Light. This video's focus is primarily on PvE, but I'll be making a PvP video as well. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you for 100 subscribers, I really do appreciate it a lot. I know I have not posted in a while, but I am back, so stay tuned for more uploads. For the video today, I'll be showing off this amazing website called light.gg. It is fantastic for figuring out what roles you can achieve on certain weapons in the game, and I want to make sure everybody knows about it. So let's get into this top 10. So number 10 here, I'm going with the first in, last out slug shotgun. Now this weapon can be achieved through random world drops, as well as umbral engrams at the recaster next to Drifter. There's many different perk setups you can have on this weapon, and the two I mainly want you guys to focus on here are auto-loading holster and surrounded. So we got auto-loading in the first slot with surrounded in the second slot, or you can go ahead and do slide shot in your first slot as well as demolitionist in your second slot. The way I came out with these two is that auto-loading holster is a great perk to have on slug shotguns. Slug shotguns are a little bit of a pain to reload, but with auto-loading holster, you can just get that quick burst DPS, switch to your other weapon, and then after a few seconds, switch back, get that quick burst DPS again. So it works very well with slug shotgun, so you don't have to load every bullet in at a time. Now surrounded will work really well with boosting your damage output, since it is a damage increasing perk. The only thing about surrounded that I'm not that big of a fan of is you need to be surrounded by 3 or more enemies in close proximity, and this proximity is very close to you. I don't exactly have the measurement, but I feel like it's around 10 to 12 meters that they have to be within. I know that's striking distance for this weapon, but I wish there was some other sort of perk here instead of surrounded, but this is what we got to work with. The other setup I had was slide shot and demolitionist. The reason why I opted for this is I really do enjoy slide shot on shotguns in general, because I feel the playstyle with shotguns is to slide a lot. I know this is more of like a PvP thing, but slide shot is a little bit underrated in my opinion, especially when you read what the perk does, which is sliding partially reloads this weapon's magazine and temporarily boosts range and stability. The boost to range and stability is fantastic when I'm talking about shotguns, because they have pretty short range. I know with slug shotties you do get a little bit more range than the pellet shotguns, but you never really want to sleep on that extra range. It's always beneficial. And the perk in the second slot here, demolitionist, is also very underrated in this game. One thing I think people forget is that demolitionist doesn't just give you back your grenade energy, but when you use your grenade ability, it reloads the weapon from its reserves. Now this is another key perk to be using with a shotgun. Like I mentioned earlier, if you want to just keep firing without having to reload, demolitionist is a perfect perk to do this with. Those are 2 great setups to have with this weapon. Main reason I'm saying to look out for this weapon is that slug shotguns got a massive PvE buff at the start of this current season, and I don't see them getting nerfed because not enough people are using them yet. And these are great major killers right here. First and last out's a great major killer and can definitely replace some weapons that are being sunset. So keep an eye out for this one from the recaster. Number 9 here, my pick is with the Ancient Gospel hand cannon. Now I'm gonna say this up front. This is not my favorite hand cannon in the game, nor is it even close. I do not like how it handles. I do not like how it looks necessarily. I mean, it looks cool, don't get me wrong, but it just does not feel like a true hand cannon. And one thing that gives this away a lot is that the sound really just sounds like a sidearm, and it's not very enjoyable for me to use. At least when comparing it to other hand cannons like Dire Promise or Ostringer, those hand cannons sound and feel exactly what a hand cannon should be like. But besides that, this weapon is extremely obtainable. You can get it through Garden of Salvation Raid, and it has an amazing perk pool. Now it's kind of a tragedy because, like I mentioned, it doesn't really feel like a good hand cannon, but this could be a very biased opinion of mine. Anyways, let's dive into some of the perks you can get. So as you can see, first and second slots are extremely loaded with perks for either PvP or PvE, but since this video is mainly PvE focused, I'll go over what I think is the best role here. Now, Rapid Hit, I believe after the Outlaw and Feeding Frenzy nerfs, I believe Rapid Hit is the best reloading perk in the game. Now this could also be another biased opinion, but it is easier, and I find more benefit out of Rapid Hit than I would with Outlaw or Feeding Frenzy. So I would definitely suggest going for a Rapid Hit role. Now in the second slot, I really love the synergy with Rapid Hit, having that quick reload and kill clip. This would be my go-to role right here. As you can see, there's a curated role that has this as well, so it's boosting your odds at even more at getting a good roll. Another one to look out for, I would say, would be Rapid Hit and Dragonfly. Dragonfly is one of those perks that is a little bit overlooked in the PvE scene because everyone's trying to go for rolls that give you more damage or damage stacking or some sort of that, something like that. Anyways, Dragonfly isn't the greatest on its own, but if you can put a Dragonfly spec mod on this weapon with Dragonfly, it is a very, very good weapon. And if you have a Nation of Beasts from the last Wish raid, you'll have an Arc Hand Cannon with Dragonfly, as well as a Solar Hand Cannon with Dragonfly, which is what Ancient Gospel offers. Here we are at number 8. For me, it's going to be the Ikelos SMG V102. This SMG was one of my favorites in year 1 when Warmind dropped. I had a lot of fun using it. It was primarily a PvP choice for me with the Vigilance Wing, but this gun came back this season and has quite an interesting perk pool to choose from. Now in the first slot here, we have Threat Detector, Subsistence, Grave Robber, Dynamic Sway, and Pulse Monitor. The only one here that I see that benefits you at all the time would be Threat Detector. I know you can make an argument for Subsistence and Grave Robber in terms of PvE, but I wouldn't necessarily use Subsistence on an SMG since the reserves are already quite small to begin with. I feel like with your damage output with an SMG, if you were to add Subsistence, you're going to run out of primer ammo a lot, especially when you are doing higher end activities like Nightfall Ordeals or Day 1 raids or something that's more challenging. Yeah, from everyday like strikes, you'll be fine with Subsistence, but my pick here would definitely be Threat Detector. Another one is if you have a melee build or you like to melee, Grave Robber could be an amazing perk as well. If you want just to get that quick reload, just get a melee kill and then it'll reload a portion of the weapon's magazine. If Grave Robber did the whole magazine upon melee kill, I would definitely choose this over Threat Detector though. Threat Detector and Surrounded are definitely my go-to picks here, since they work very well together. Each perk works based on enemies being in close proximity, so if you're always playing that aggressive style, these perks are always going to be active for you. Now, Demolitionist, again, like mentioned before, is a fantastic perk for reloading as well as spamming grenades. If you are maining the SMG, you're going to be getting your grenade back a ton, and when you throw your grenade, you'll be reloading that SMG automatically. This perk is very good in terms of PvE activities. Alright, moving on to number 7 here. We got the Dire Promise. One of my favorite hand cannons in the game, based on feel and sound and how it performs. And it also has a very interesting perk pool as well. Now, there's a clear-cut number 1 choice for me here in terms of PvE, and that would be Overflow in your first slot with Swashbuckler in your second slot. These two perks work very well together, since Swashbuckler takes 5 kills to get to its max damage output. With Overflow, this will allow you to have more bullets in your magazine, giving you a higher chance at getting those 5 kills all through your weapon, and then making use of that times 5 a lot more. Now Swashbuckler, you can also do a melee build for this to always have times 5 being able to proc. I've been using this weapon quite a bit on my top tree Dawnblade with the Celestial Fire melee, and it works wonders, definitely. Don't sleep on this hand cannon. I know these things drop like candy from everywhere, so don't just auto dismantle one of these rolls. This is very good. It's not getting sunset. Very, very solid hand cannon. Overflow and Swashbuckler, very, very good. At number 6, we got the Summoner Auto Rifle. This auto rifle is a little bit harder to obtain than others during the season, since it is a Trials exclusive weapon. But nonetheless, it does have some great potential as a PvE weapon. As we see here, it's very similar to the Dire, as it has Overflow as well. And instead of having Swashbuckler, it has Rampage. Overflow can double your magazine, and you get Rampage going, keeps that Rampage times 3 up, and you'll be shredding ads. Also, this auto rifle, this reticle is pretty large compared to something like the Gnawing Hunger, but it feels very good and it handles very well. So Overflow and Rampage is definitely a role to look out for in terms of PvE. At number 5, my pick goes to the Sacred Provenance Pulse Rifle. This is only obtainable through the Garden of Salvation raid. So don't just auto dismantle all these, because there are some there is a lot of potential here. Now, like its brother, the Ancient Gospel, my go-to perks here for PvE would be Rapid Hit with Kill Clip. Rapid Hit, once again, like I've mentioned, I believe is the best reloading perk in the game. Very beneficial, can be used at any time, even on boss DPS. Now you shouldn't really be using primary ammo, but Outlaw, really hard to proc on boss DPS. Very hard, actually. So my go-to would be Rapid Hit and Kill Clip. And this pulse rifle is a laser beam. Absolute laser beam. And if you put Rapid Hit on this, thing doesn't move. For all you controller players, very, very solid choice here. As well as mouse and keyboard, you'll have no problems. At number 4, we have Sacred Provenance's competition here with the good old Cold Denial. This one is obtainable through random world activities, as well as the recaster. You can actually focus your engrams, your umbral engrams that is, at the recaster and roll for this really good pulse rifle. So if we scroll down here to the perk pool, it has it features some of the new perks that Bungie has implemented, such as Killing Wind, Unrelenting, and you also got Sympathetic Arsenal. All 3 are very interesting perks, and there are some that are better than the others, and I'll go over that really quick. So for PvE here, you have a few combos you can play around with. Killing Wind is an amazing perk, PvE or PvP, regardless. But Final Blows grant increased mobility, weapon range, and handling for a short duration. Very, very nice to have, and if you're using this in PvE, it's going to be active nearly all of the time, as long as you're slaying out. You can also roll with Feeding Frenzy, but once again, this perk was nerfed at the beginning of the season and does not work quite as well as it used to. On the second slot here, you have 3 perks I could say that you could definitely look for God roll in, and that first one would be Swashbuckler. Once again, just a great damage increasing perk, and if you have a melee build, definitely go ahead and use Swashbuckler. Unrelenting is a perk I don't see many people talking about. Rapidly defeating targets triggers health regeneration. Very underrated perk here. It works a little bit better in PvP than it does in PvE, but if you're constantly killing low tier adds, you will get your health back a lot. This is a perk that's not exactly meant for endgame, but if you're just doing strikes or public events or just chilling, doing whatever, and you're kind of sick and tired of dying all the time, Unrelenting can definitely be your solution to this. Now, my go-to pick would be multi-kill clip. If you pair Feeding Frenzy with multi-kill clip, or even Killing Win multi-kill clip, I feel like you've had a god roll in this weapon. Multi-kill clip is an awesome damage perk, and I wish it was on more weapons, especially for PvE activities. Alright, number 3 here. Finally in the top 3. My favorite sniper rifle in the game, the Long Shadow. This sniper rifle is very underrated, to say the least. I don't see many people going for this weapon at all, or even using it for the matter. But the top tier PvE players definitely have one of these in their vault, and I'll tell you that. So if we go down here to the perk pool, it's also got quite an array of good perks here, but there's only 2 perks that you really need in this weapon, as well as a magazine to look for, and that would be the Appended Mag, Rapid Hit, and Triple Tap. This is the god roll. I wouldn't settle for anything less. So definitely look out for one of these. It is a Vanguard drop, and it drops from World Activities as well, I believe. And it isn't getting sunset. At first I thought it was, but they brought it back this season, so that was a great thing to hear about. But yeah, definitely look out for one of these. Should be very useful come beyond light time. Now at our number 2 spot, this solely belongs to the Gnawing Hunger auto rifle. As we scroll down here, we will see that there are several perks that work very well in PvE. My go-to by far through use is Subsistence and Rampage. These perks together are absolutely amazing. Subsistence, like I mentioned earlier, is not the greatest fit on a submachine gun, but it works perfectly fine on an auto rifle, and I've never had problems with ammo, unless I'm always sitting in the back and I am not ever pushing up. But yeah, Subsistence and Rampage is one I've been recommending all season to get, and I will continue to recommend, and I know will be good come beyond light unless something crazy happens to Rampage or Subsistence. But given the fact that Subsistence actually got buffed recently, and Rampage doesn't ever seem to be touched at all, I'm sure this is a safe pick to farm for beyond light time. This is my favorite auto rifle of this season and will continue to be, unless there is some next level beyond light auto that comes out and just blows me away there. Alright, and our number 1 pick here is the good old buddy Spin to Win Falling Guillotine. The best DPS option in the game currently, and one of the funnest weapons to use in my opinion. So let's dive into what this sword has to offer. Now for me, there's only one clear-cut god roll, and I know a lot of PvE players will agree with this. It will be Swordmaster's Guard for that increased charge rate to your special attack, with Relentless Strikes and Whirlwind Blade. Cannot go wrong with this setup. absolutely fantastic in PvE currently. Now, do I see this weapon possibly being nerfed going into Beyond Light? Yes. But there was a glitch with this weapon at the beginning of Season of Arrivals where you would do your special attack, and then a few seconds after, it would do another special attack for you, like a ghost special attack, and they patched that. When they patched it, they knew how good this sword was, and they could have nerfed it then, and they haven't nerfed it yet. So they could be allowing us to have fun during the season with it, and then they could be nerfing it come Beyond Light. But the fact that swords are so risky in terms of DPS options, I feel swords will not be touched during a sandbox patch. I could be totally wrong on this, but I believe this sword will definitely have at least one more season of being the king when it comes to DPS options and PvE activities. And it's an incredibly fun weapon to use as well, so this is why it's number 1 on my list. I've already have 5,000 kills on mine, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. If you want to know anything about the blades, I would probably recommend any blade that improves the impact. I wouldn't worry too much about your ammo because the artifact this season has a sword picker-upper that you can easily do. Just pick up a heavy ammo scavenger finder on your helmet as well, and you should not have many ammo problems. So I'd probably go with Jagged Edge here if you had that, or Honed Edge. But yeah, that was my top 10. I hope I helped you guys all see the potential in some weapons that you might have overlooked. I will be going for a lot of these god rolls that I mentioned, and I hope you guys will too. Can't wait for Beyond Light, and to maybe see these weapons work there would be quite cool. So yeah, that's it for now. Keep an eye out for my, I think I'm going to do a top 5 legendary weapons to keep for PvP in terms of Beyond Light coming out. But yeah, keep an eye out for that, and thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys later.